Hello, you're listening to an interview with Josh Mercer from episode 21 of the Catholic Vote Radio Hour. Like and subscribe to the Catholic Vote Radio Hour on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, and follow us at Catholic Vote on Facebook and Twitter. I'm your host, Stephen Harriet. And now the time has come for our weekly political discussion with Catholic Vote Political Director Josh Mercer, the editor of The Loop. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing okay. A little bit of a cold, though, but I'll trudge through.
A little bit of a cold, but you'll trudge through. Isn't that just life in a nutshell? In our fallen world. Well, this week we've been hearing a lot of talk about paid family leave.
Well, I mean, you ask Americans, should there be paid family leave for parents at the time they have a newborn child? Should they get like 6 to 8 weeks of paid family leave? The American people support it by like greater than 70%. We're about the only industrialized nation that doesn't mandate it. So it's not like it's really controversial. What's the controversy is, how do we go about paying for it? Because so many people are employed in our country through small businesses. And anytime you tack on a mandate,
right,
it gets expensive. And so you force a business to pay for a worker for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it is, when there's no one else to take their spot. So you're basically paying for two people or whatever for that time frame. And a big company like a Target or a Walmart might be actually in favor of it. This is one of those tricks about economics that people get confused by. You think about something like this and you would think, oh, well, a big corporation that loves money and worships money, they're not going to want something like paid family leave. Well, if you're talking about a law that would mandate it on every employer in the country, if you're Walmart, then you just, you can bear that cost a lot easier. But that small mom and pop shop that's teetering on the edge, it might put them out of business. And so it's actually a competitive advantage for something like Walmart to do that. So that's why, in fact, Republicans don't really have a problem with paid family leave, but their concern would be, we don't want to put small businesses under. So is there a different way of going about it? Now, the first thing that was done on this was the recently passed tax bill. Senator Deb Fischer, she's a Republican from Nebraska, was pushing hard for a tax break, because one of the major things about the tax reform bill was trying to reform corporate taxes, which were sky high 35%, brought it down to 21%. But in the process of that bill, they put in an incentive for companies to offer paid family leave. It was a tax break for companies that would offer that to their employees, much the same way we have a tax benefit for companies that offer healthcare insurance. Now, here's the thing. Back when Harry Truman was president and the Democrats were trying to socialize healthcare, Republicans in Congress said, whoa. Let's give a tax break to businesses instead. Let them offer healthcare.
Right.
And that's how we've had healthcare in the last 70 years tied to our employment. Well, there's challenges with that, to be sure, but it was better than having our healthcare nationalized 70 years ago.
Right.
So it just started, the law. And already Walmart and Target and a few other companies are saying, we're going to offer this benefit to our employees. So that's a great win for working families. The concern here is there might be a lot of small businesses out there that might not be able to make as much of an advantage of that tax break as somebody like Walmart. And so they may not offer that to their employees. What can you do for maybe small businesses? And also, obviously, nonprofits don't pay corporate taxes. So how do you give, is there any other system that we could do, some other incentive that we could offer paid family leave without throwing it on as an expensive mandate to the employers?
Right.
And that's what's going on right now. This week, they're kicking around this new idea. It was started by Kristen Shapiro and Andy Biggs. They're affiliated with the American Enterprise Institute. And they said, well, why don't we do something else different here? We don't need to create a new government program. We don't even necessarily have to start a new tax, which would cause a lot of issues in Congress, especially controlled by the Republicans. We just cut taxes. We don't want to raise taxes. So their idea was, wait a minute, what if you let working families take 6 weeks of paid family leave and you just withdraw it from your own Social Security? So you're not creating a new government program. You're already operating within the Social Security program.
Right.
You're not taxing anybody else. If you decide to take this benefit, you're not charging anybody else for it.
Right.
The way it would be paid for, the way it would be revenue neutral would be that instead of collecting Social Security benefits at age 67, you just delay it 6 weeks.
Right. Well, and also,
you see what I'm saying?
This has got to be, I would imagine a lot of young people would find this interesting because they literally have completely despaired of ever getting their Social Security upon retirement, which would be in, 4 decades.
Right, exactly. And part of the reason why is because the baby boomers did not have as many children as other generations, and that problem is sort of accelerated. But we definitely need pro-natalist policies, have more children. mean, the government's not going to be able to convince people necessarily have more babies. There's some of these campaigns out European countries, it kind of comes off as ridiculous. I don't think that really ever works. But I do think a lot of working families struggle to pay the bills, and they think, well, maybe we want another kid, but can we afford it? If you can make it more affordable, then if they want to have children, they'll have children.
Right.
You're not going to convince someone who doesn't want to have a kid by paying them. That's not what this is about. But I do think this is a proposal that just came out. It deserves to be explored. And I think for the reasons you said, millennials might look at this and say, I don't think I'm going to collect Social Security in 40 years anyway, so why not give this a go?
Right.
The main reason I like it is it's not a new government program. It's not a new tax. And you're not throwing it all on small businesses.
Which is extremely important. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because there were earlier proposals for paid family leave that really rubbed me the wrong way. And it was sort of split conservatives. Some conservatives who were more big government conservatives were like pro-natalist. I don't care how we pay for it, right? Let's raise taxes or whatever. And others were more like me, a little bit more libertarian leaning. They're like, this is a horrible idea. This is basically a planned economy kind of idea, and it's going to hurt us. So I'm glad that they're at least looking for a solution. But the other thing that's funny with this is two of the main leaders in this push for paid family leave have been Marco Rubio and Ivanka Trump. And I keep thinking to myself, in this case and many other cases of policy disputes with the Trump administration, here's a racial minority, a Latino guy, and a liberal woman. Ivanka is a liberal, frankly. They're working together to come up with a policy that it's not a very, on the face of it, conservative idea, certainly not a libertarian one. And so this Latino and this woman who's a liberal are working together to get this policy that is kind of a big government policy on face value at first. Why aren't Democrats happy?
They might be. I mean, we'll see. I mean, but of course they would say, well, let's go the further step and let's mandate it and let's do it through a tax because they like to have government-based solutions more than anything else.
Right.
But some libertarians are like less government altogether. And I guess I'm sympathetic to that. But I guess my concern would be if you don't do something with this now, then in 2 years, Democrats will run on this and they will have a government program and they will have it pay for it either through a new tax or just adding to the deficit or whatever. So this is at least a way that you do it without creating a new plan. Here's the thing. Are you going to stop this train? Maybe you can. Maybe we'll get the libertarian dreamland. Fine. In lieu of that, what's the best way to try to solve this need without vastly increasing the size of the welfare state? And I think this plan, which basically says, if you want it, go ahead, take that money now, and then we'll just delay your Social Security benefits by 6 weeks. I think that's a pretty good plan. And it doesn't prevent employers from offering it. It doesn't prevent employers from, like I say, taking this new tax benefit to lower their taxes by offering it as a benefit to their employees. So Democrats had super majorities in the House and the Senate, and President Barack Obama in power. They didn't move on immigration. They didn't move on paid family leave. They wasted their time wrecking our healthcare system.
Right.
And what's happened? Republicans now, with a Republican president, Republican House and Senate, they've already cut taxes for working families. They've already offered a tax incentive to help businesses create this benefit for paid family leave for their employees. Now they're trying to take it another step. So I give them credit for moving on these problems that have been around for a while. Democrats had the opportunity to move forward with it when they had both houses of Congress and the presidency, and they didn't do it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Josh. This has been what a great, clear description of this debate. This has really been fantastic. Thank you for that. So we look forward to hearing the update on it. We're probably going to be hearing more about this, and we want to keep in the loop on this and other topics. And how do we do that?
Subscribe to our free daily news briefing. It's called The Loop. Just go to CatholicVote.org/loop and get you signed up for free.
All right. Thanks very much, Josh. Talk to you soon. Well, thanks for listening to this interview from episode 21 of the Catholic Vote Radio Hour. Again, you can like and subscribe to the Catholic Vote Radio Hour on YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play, and don't miss the rest of this episode. I'm your host, Stephen Harriet.
On your mind, Rubio, baby.